Rolling. Sound rolling. Take one, take one.
Well, I'm rather horrified to realise that I've been in the film studies field for more than 50 years. And I guess it started, as things do for a lot of people, when they go up to university. I went up to Cambridge in just before 1960 and had started to get interested in films. I didn't have a boyhood passion for films, but in my teens I got interested in films and went to Cambridge. And of course there's at all universities there's a lot of interest in films, and in those days there was no academic structure obviously connected with films, and we tended to kind of moonlight or play truant watching films. My thinking about films and understanding of films was completely transformed by picking up a magazine called Oxford Opinion. There was some very polemical and impressive and well illustrated and well argued material about films which was totally different from the orthodoxy that one was starting to pick up from books and more official magazines. That happened at the same time as, I think, two other significant things, and they were all connected. One of them was that it was a very turbulent and exciting period in the film industry. You know, 1960 is the kind of official turning point year. Baldwell Steiger Thompson book about classical cinema uses 1960 as the cut-off point, the beginning and of the end of the studio system. The old classical system beginning to break up, partly because of the influence of television. So such a lot was happening in 1960. Both a lot of exciting new material was coming in from Europe and beyond Europe, notably Ingmar Bergman, Antonioni, and the French New Wave. You know, that was a pretty good trio of things happening. And within commercial cinema, people were getting more freedom. So 1960 was the year of Psycho, which really was a turning point film. It was absolutely mind-blowing film to see. And very strongly celebrated in Oxford Opinion, very articulately celebrated. But it was also, and I think equally important in the long term, the year of Peeping Tom, which is a very much a twin film of Psycho. And I can remember reading about it in Cambridge, and it got terrible reviews. I mean, obviously everyone knows about Peeping Tom now. The film about, as I say, a twin of Psycho, because it's about a serial killer and a sex murderer, but it doesn't have the kind of same narrative power. It has a lot of power, but it doesn't have the same kind of qualities that Psycho had that made it accessible to a mass audience. It was just that little bit more self-conscious and a little bit more over the top. If you can be more over the top than Psycho seemed then. There somehow wasn't any vocabulary for talking about Peeping Tom. It sort of lay like a time bomb in my mind, because it was a British film, and people were not taking British cinema as seriously as they were taking Hitchcock. But anyway, the two things that happened, to get back to that, one was an explosion of really interesting films, and the other thing was that at that very same time, the beginning of academic study, and the key person there was Thorold Dickinson, who was a distinguished British director who'd just made 9 or 10 films. He hadn't had a steady career, partly because he was such a distinctive and independent director, and partly because he was also interested in film history and film theory. And in 1960, his filmmaking career had kind of wound down, enough to make him interested in taking the first job that was created, which was a lecturer at the Slade School of Fine Art in London. And that happened just at that same time, 1960. I was lucky enough to get one of the studentships which were offered. There were 2 studentships per year, which were unheard of. You got paid to do research on film. This was the dream thing to do.